Last time on Hasta Alaska, we headed east from British Columbia to Alberta, and boy were we glad that we did. We met some incredible people and learnt how to find free food in the forest. We managed to tick off a couple more adventures from our ever-growing bucket list. Wow! And we picked up 2 new travellers who were as excited as we were to get to the Arctic. So, this time, finally, we're tackling the Alaska Highway. So we spent the last 3.5 years driving north from Chile to Alaska, and during that journey we've picked up over 100 hitchhikers and would-be adventurers who have made up the various colourful faces of this Hasta Alaska series. Myself, Ben, from the British island of Jersey, Leah from Australia, Fernando from Brazil, Angela from Switzerland, and Little Alaska from Peru would be the last Kombi crew on this marathon Pan-American journey. Together we had our compass fixed on north, our hearts set on the Arctic, our goal the end of the road. 2,500 miles of remote terrain is all that stands between us. Let's go exploring. Wow, this is like one of the most stunning roads we've been on the entire trip. I'm gonna crash, I keep looking around so much. That glacier up there.
The main reason we headed east into Alberta was so that we didn't miss the drive through the Rocky Mountains. Let us show you why. The further north we pushed, the easier it was to find free camp spots. This camp here actually marks the Arctic Divide, where the waters of the continent split and streams flow north to the distant Arctic and south to the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans.
Speaking of water, as the free camping got easier, the water got considerably colder, making bath time in the Kombi a little bit of a challenge. Fresh water was in no short supply, but it took some courage to get wet, so we decided the best bet was to just go for it. Believe it or not, the Alaska Highway doesn't actually start until Dawson Creek, the official mile zero mark, and we were stoked to make it this far. Progress was super slow in the Kombi. Our trusty steed Capito felt every mile of the Alaska Highway, and so did we.
The highway is so long and through such a harsh environment that there are constant roadworks in different sections throughout the summer, meaning there are a lot of rocks on the highway to smash windscreens or puncture tyres. Luckily, we found services as and when we needed them, as if they had been here all along, just waiting for us to finally get here.
We're at one of the major gas stations on the Alaskan Highway, and it's so quiet that we've managed to fill up the gas, make a sandwich and eat it without anyone else arriving here at the pump. Try doing that in LA. Gas stations on the Alaskan Highway and in this region in general are pretty few and far between. It's a good idea to carry gas, an extra gas tank, but we don't have one. We have two gas gauges, neither of them actually work. The main one in the car doesn't work at all. We had another one installed which works kind of strangely. When we are full, it shows that we're empty, and as the gas drains out of the tank, it climbs to about quarter of a tank. So right now we're on about quarter of a tank and we just made it to this town. So I guess that was pretty much running on fumes. So basically we're measuring our fuel by how many kilometers we're driving. We think we have a range of around 350 to 400 kilometers, but that depends on how well the engine's working, and we've already broken down a couple of times on this stretch alone. It's kind of a guessing game. Makes it exciting though.
Unfortunately, gas issues were not our only concern at this point.
The engine is spitting out a heck of a lot of oil. There is oil absolutely everywhere. Puddles and puddles and puddles of it. And basically the last time this happened was in Costa Rica, and we got about 10 miles out of the engine before it blew up. I'm just trying to assess the damage now and see whether it's engine rebuild number 11 or what, but this is not a good position to be in heading into Alaska. Most mornings in a Kombi are pretty relaxed. We rarely have anywhere that we need to be in a hurry, so we've replaced our alarm clocks with the sun, which, let me tell you, isn't afraid of showing its face bright and early when you're this far north in the summertime. It didn't take long before each member of the Kombi crew found and assumed their relevant roles. There's a certain number of tasks that need to be done before we get ready to tackle the road, not least of which is preventative maintenance on the Kombi to keep the number of unintended surprises to a minimum.
Of course, not all unplanned roadside stops were due to breakdowns. The North American bison can be frequently sighted along certain sections of the Alaska Highway. The number of animals seen on the road actually increases at night, making driving especially hazardous. I'm sure you'll agree, nobody wants to butt heads with one of these beasts.
That is one ugly mother. Of course, there was some wildlife that we'd rather have not seen. Just like everybody said, the further north you drive, the worse the mosquitoes get. And this was only the beginning. They're all over your hair, man. How's the mosquito situation?
Pretty bad.
Use a bear spray on them.
Sure. You stand still, I'll bear spray you. See how we go. Pito took a hammering today. So many bugs on the windscreen. We've pulled up at a camp by a nice river. I'm going to try and see if I can salvage a few of the bugs from the front of the car and see if we can catch ourselves some dinner. Might be a long shot, but a bit of fun. The further north we ventured, the more remote we were and the worse the weather became. The last thing we expected was to bump into veteran travellers Aidan and Madison. These two are no strangers to the van life, having both tackled the Pan American Highway themselves.
I love always moving. For me, van life is cool because I'm always moving. I'm always, it's never boring.
I think van life is becoming popular because I think people our age see the generation ahead of them not having been very fulfilled and satisfied by the life choices that were kind of set up for them, and they don't want to take that same path, and this is a lot more appealing, a lot more choice, and it seems more fulfilling.
I think that it's hard to do what you're doing. I think that really opening yourself up and just sharing with random strange people the amount that you do is really cool, but a really hard thing to do.
When I think about the amount of space that's shared by so many people in the Hasta Alaska project, I just wonder what happens when you don't like somebody that you pick up. What's the worst situation that you've gotten into?
Yeah.
Just picking people up.
After quite a few days of hard driving and many miles, we were glad to discover Liard Hot Springs. Liard Hot Springs is beautiful, but it's made all the more magical because of the people that you share your bath with, each of them on their own adventures. This hot spring has been visited by natives long before the Alaska Highway was here, but we kind of suspect that they built the road right past this place because they knew by this point we'd all need a refreshing warm soak. The Sign Forest is a testament to the travellers who've come before, and it looks like people have visited this remote town from all over the world. Each of them creating their own adventures and memories.
This is Watson Lake, a rite of passage for all people driving up the Alaskan Highway. You are supposed to stop in the Sign Forest where we are now and leave your own sign. So we're going to put a Kombi Life sticker on our sign. Kombi Life was here. Back on the road and further up the highway, we passed the remains of an old forest fire. Evidence of a recent forest fire here, which goes to show how hot the ground gets because it's just started raining and there's smoke everywhere. Quite a sight to see. It's kind of a sad thing because it shows the destruction of the fire, but it's the end of one thing and time for new things to grow.
People had told us that the fires here are so hard to put out because the fire gets trapped underneath the ground with all the roots and the air pockets underneath the floor. It's very scary. And you can really feel it, the ground feels so hot. And the ground is so spongy, so you can imagine how easy it is for the fire to get stuck underneath the ground. Eventually, we arrived back in civilization at the last major supply town of Whitehorse in the Yukon. There, we met Ulrich, who informed us that where we were going, one spare tire would not be enough.
Cannot go without this, like anywhere in the Yukon or North Alaska. This is the essentials, like this and that. Yes, exactly.
Cheers, man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of worried.
And a satellite phone, man.
I'm less worried. A satellite phone. I don't suppose you got one of those as well, have you?
I don't know if your machete's going to be very useful.
This is the most useful tool that we have.
What do you got in your toolbox here?
Having never actually changed a tyre on a rim ourselves, we got some expert advice from the local pros, who we challenged to see if they could change a tyre using only the hand tools that we had in the Kombi. Feeling further prepared and confident about the upcoming Arctic challenge, we took one last piece of advice from the Whitehorse locals. A piece of advice that would prove to play a huge part in this Hasta Alaska story. We changed direction and headed south so as to not miss the highly recommended and equally remote towns of Haines and Skagway. So the Alaskan border was finally within our sights, and it seemed as if Mother Nature was approving of our decision.
Of course, regardless of our compass bearing, one member of the team is never entirely happy.
So the problem was that our troublesome coil has fallen off the place where it was mounted on the fan housing and basically fallen down into here. We need to find a new place to put it, and we're opting for putting it down here on these pipes, but they get a little bit hot. So we're going to use this basically a surfboard strap, an ankle strap for your leash on your surfboard, and put that as an insulator between the hot part of the engine and cable tie this to sit on top of it. That's the theory. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to hold up with the heat, but it's better than nothing in a pinch. Just hope that doesn't melt. Oh wait, I'm going to put our baby food lid back on. Okay. Mechanics in Tijuana insisted that I put baby food tin lids on my fan housing. I don't know why, but I like it. Can you hear that? We're hearing our first wolves of the trip. We're here in the Carcross Desert, officially the world's smallest desert, possibly. We're having some mechanical problems, which is why we stopped. We're going to make a bit of dinner, and we've just heard our first wolves calling from over the hill in that direction towards the sun somewhere. That is awesome.
That was really cool.
That's the first time I've ever heard wolves. And Alaska too. Apparently we don't speak wolf. Alaska hears them though. You sense danger, Alaska. Ahora! Mátalo! Mátalo! She doesn't know.
Yeah, you're so scary, Alaska.
Yeah, you get that. Show those wolves. Last night we spent the night in the world's smallest desert. It was phenomenal. We met two new friends. It was Leah's birthday, and the sky was just unbelievable. That's what we've been waiting for. That's what I've been excited about the whole trip, seeing the Northern Lights, and they came out in all their glory last night. It was just the best night. Shooting stars everywhere. The sky was just full of green. We just couldn't stop taking pictures. It was everything I'd hoped it would be, and more. And today we're going to Alaska. We're right before the Alaskan border, and today I get to complete my dream. Going to Alaska!
We're going to Alaska!
We're going to Alaska! We're going to Alaska! Woo!
Alaska, we're going to Alaska! It's over there! Whooska, whooska! Finally, the Alaska border was within reach and excitement levels were at an all-time high. Those last miles gave me the time to reflect on everything that I've invested into getting to this point, and I was more than ready to celebrate. However, what actually happened next was the beginning of one of the biggest challenges of my life. But that is a story for next time. In the next season of Hasta Alaska, against all odds, we finally reached the state of Alaska and experience everything that we've been dreaming of for our grand adventure at the final frontier, only to have it all taken away from us and to see that dream turn into a nightmare. If you think we've overcome some huge challenges so far on this Pan-American expedition, just wait until you see what happens next.